Although we've come
to the end of the road,
still I can't let go. It's a natural. You belong to me. I belong to you. I think we should start our own group.
we should.
We should. We definitely should. Hey y'all, it's Ashley Bookish Realm, and I am back with another video. As you can see by the title, this is my Stephen King project video, and no, it is not fucking like structured in particular. There are hundreds of people on BookTube who are already doing this. I just wanted to kind of throw my hat into the ring and say I'm kind of sort of doing the same damn thing because I want to be a sheep just like everybody else. So what I am doing is I am slowly making my way through all of Stephen King's works. That is such a huge feat. He has published over 70 things, I believe, and my goal is to read them in chronological order. So I'm not just reading them as I get them and just kind of going with the flow. I want to see how his writing has progressed from when he first published Carrie up into his latest published book, which I believe is Elevation. I think that's the most current book that Stephen King has published as of 2019. So with that being said, I really don't have a plan. It's probably something that I want to think about just a little bit more. I don't know if I want to read like a Stephen King book every month or 2 Stephen King books every month, because if you didn't know, Stephen King's books are thick, like super thick, and they are long. Some of them are really good, some of them are really bad. I'm probably going to want to do a whole entire series where I read the book, and a lot of his stuff has some type of either TV adaptation or film adaptation. So I'm going to probably want to do like reviews of the book in comparisons to the film or TV adaptations. So this is going to be a long process. I just wanted to let you guys know that this is something that I'm actively doing, even though I haven't stated it before, but I will come up with a more structured way in which I will do this and think about some goal setting. I know this is not something that will happen within a year, because I'm not gonna read 70 Stephen King books in a year. Like, I'm just trying to even make it to 100 books in general, irregardless of what Stephen King has written. So I'm gonna show you now like some of the Stephen King books that I own. I don't really have any favorites because, honest to God, I've only read one Stephen King book. And the way I talk about Stephen King, you would think that I have read maybe 20-30 of his books, but I have seen quite a few of his film adaptations. So I've seen every single version of Carrie that has ever been made, meaning that I have seen the version that was originally done, I think in what was this the 80s maybe? I don't know. I've seen that one. I've seen the one on the TV adaptation where Carrie doesn't even die. They end up rescuing her and getting her out of town. That was straight to TV. And I've also seen the newer one that came out maybe within like the past 5 to 6 years. So like stuff like that, like I've seen adaptations, I've seen the old school version of it, I've seen the new version of it. I haven't seen Pet Sematary at all. I know that there's an adaptation for 11/22/63. I know that there's a new Pet Sematary coming out. I know that there is, what is the one that Stephen King absolutely hates? The Shining. So I actually have seen a lot of clips of The Shining, but I don't think I've watched it from beginning to end, but I recognize The Shining when I see it. So it's not that I'm unfamiliar with Stephen King's works so much as I haven't delved into the actual literature content of them. So let's go ahead and just look at the books that I do have. So the first Stephen King book that I own is Carrie, which is the first book that he did publish. And this is the one that I have read, that is about a girl who has telekinetic type powers. She can control things with her mind, and she's living under the thumb of her super religious mother, and it creates some very interesting dynamics for her as a woman and as a teenager and growing up around kids that have a lot more freedom than she does. It's actually a really sad story, and it's told from like interviews and old articles and stuff like that, as if we're going back and reviewing the case of what has happened. I really enjoyed this book when I did read it. I just find it extremely heartbreaking to know that this girl had so much power, so much potential, was so curious about the world, wanted to fit in so badly, and her peers were just cruel, like really, really cruel. Like, everybody knows the infamous Carrie scene where she's standing on top of the stage being crowned prom queen and they spill pig's blood on her. Like, you just can't do stuff like that to people. But I really did enjoy this. You can tell that this is Stephen King's first book by the way that it's written, but I can see what progress he's going to make in his future books. The next one that I have here is Salem's Lot, which is a vampire-like story. And this is the second book that Stephen King has ever published, and I heard that a lot of people like this because it gets down to the nitty-gritty of like the traditional vampire story. And I'm not sure if this is true, but I always have wondered if this was kind of like Stephen King's take on Dracula, perhaps. I read Dracula by Bram Stoker, and it's more gothic than horror. Like, it's not really a scary book. It's really good, but you don't really get anything from the perspective of the vampire, so it doesn't make it as frightening as what some people may think. But I did enjoy that when I read that a few years ago, so I'm interested in seeing Stephen King's take in the traditional vampire setting and how he takes that and where it goes. And this one's actually really, really thick. This is what I was talking about, where Stephen King's books are not for the faint of heart, and that's why I wouldn't read 70 of them in one year, because this one alone is 639 pages. The next one that I have here is Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King, who was his son. This one recently came out within the past couple of years. I have read stuff from Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son. I actually own Nosferatu, and also I've read the entire Lock and Key comic book series. But this is one that I probably won't be getting to for a while because it's such a later published book. And I'm just really interested in seeing the dynamic between Stephen working with his son Owen and what type of writing skills Owen has. I've heard okay things about this book. I know that a lot of people feel as though Stephen King's writing has changed a lot as his time has progressed as a writer. I believe that, I think my aunt told me that she likes a lot of Stephen King's earlier stuff, but some of his newer stuff she just doesn't really care for as much. So I'll be interested once I get to this book. And the last Stephen King book that I own is Mr. Mercedes. This is the first book in a trilogy about a detective, and I heard that this is pretty gruesome, and it's called the Bill Hodges trilogy. But a lot of people seem to enjoy this book or this trilogy in general, and I know that this has been made into a TV show, I believe, but this is also one that is a later Stephen King published book, so I won't be getting to this one anytime soon, but I found this copy somewhere for free, so I'm definitely looking forward to picking this one up as well. Alright y'all, so essentially those are the Stephen King books that I own. I'm not trying or attempting to get any more unless I need it for purposes of reading the rest of the books in chronological order. Hopefully what will end up happening is that I can make a pretty good dent from, you know, here on to the future. I may give myself like a 3 to 5 year span to do this, because this is a huge project. I just want to let you guys know that it is something that I'm actively thinking about, and I will probably come up with a more structured plan, and I will let you guys know sometime soon what I officially plan on doing. If you own any Stephen King books, or if you have started reading Stephen King's books in chronological order and you're trying to make it through his bibliography, let me know in the comment box below. Or if you're doing this for any author, I know another person that I wanted to do this for was Agatha Christie, so I may make a video on that as well. As always, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, and if you're interested in following me on social media, all of my links will be down below in the description box. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.